I will stop sharing. And there you go. So nice to have you. I'm just going to quickly introduce you again, just in case we have some new people joining, so they can get your introduction as well. So I was just thinking that, I mean, you'll be able to explain this even better than me, because when Srila Prabhupada is here, or now, at least for us now, we have over 50 years of history and inspiration, and we can quickly dive into this, and we don't need to give it second thought because it's all there, done for us. Prabhupada's books are there, everything is there, his lectures are there. But when people like yourself joined, there was nothing, there was no history, there was probably not many books at that time, and we're talking like 1971. There's hardly anything. All you had was faith in Srila Prabhupada. And that's what you did. So Prabhu joined in 1971 with Srila Prabhupada. As you know, Srila Prabhupada came to the West in 1966, and that was in America. Then he came to UK later on. And the people who were attracted to him just dived in, because Prabhuji, Tribhangananda Prabhu, he joined in 1971, and by 1972 he was initiated. So, there's no like, should I not, or should I wait, or what should I do? Should I get my education? Should I get a better job? Well, there's no time to think. You realize there's no time to think. Just go in there, because it's the right thing to do. So hats off to you, Prabhu, and you've done wonderful. And even after Srila Prabhupada left his body, you're still following his instructions, carrying on his mission. So Hare Krishna, Hari Bol to you, Prabhu, and I'll pass on to yourselves.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to have the chance to be here, and I'll try my best to be of some useful service to you all. It's one of those things that I've been asked today to discuss about this chapter from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Actually, the first book, big book we had when I finally moved to London after going from Manchester to Edinburgh, and they never told me about the deities. I must have been a raving impersonalist or something. But when I got to London Temple, Radhalandaneshwara were there, and Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra were there, and it was a real surprise. And then in the mornings we would have readings from Prabhupada's first edition of first canto Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and every step of the way it was extraordinary and delightful and seriously illuminating. So one of the difficulties I have today, the big difficulty, is how to cover this chapter, which is full of the most intense revelations about Krishna and about his devotees and about the process of spiritual life and about the culture of Krishna consciousness, how to pack it all in when each and every verse and purport is packed so full of excruciatingly brilliant detail, which is meant for our serious consideration. So having said that, would you like to start with invocation prayers, or how would you like to begin, please?
I'll leave to you, however you want to start. The stage is yours.
Okay, then let's offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. So the fact is, we were born in the darkest ignorance, but Srila Prabhupada so kindly opened our eyes, forced us to open our eyes by thrusting before them the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. And when everything is illuminated, there's no more hiding in the darkness. So here we go. Let's chant this invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So thank you all of you very kindly for being here. And let's see if we can discuss some of this transcendental nectar from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the beautiful story of the personality of Godhead and his devotees. And particularly, so many devotees, particularly these special devotees like Queen Kunti and King Parikshit and Maharaj Yudhisthira and the Pandavas are being discussed in this chapter. So Krishna is not alone, he's always with his devotees. And in this way, we'll see as Queen Kunti's prayers progress, she describes the different reasons why the Lord appears in this world. But the chapter begins with the Sutta Goswami explaining to the sages at Naimisharanya. This is just after the battle, and of course the saving of Parikshit Maharaj, and the fact that Ashvatthama has tried to kill all the Pandavas, and Krishna has advised Arjuna, you retract that Brahmastra with your Brahmastra, and in this way settle that dangerous situation, because the Lord is always willing to help his devotees. And he teaches us from there that we have to depend on the Lord at every step, because these dangerous situations are also testing for us to see how much we are conscious of the Lord and how much we're ready to rise to the test and show that Krishna, yes, you are our Lord, you are our Master. Let us take shelter of you, and if you protect us, then we're protected, and if you don't protect us, then we're finished. So here we go. So Sutta Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, because this is just at the end of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and so many relatives are being killed, they went to the Ganges with Draupadi, and the ladies walked in front. So there are so many cultural points, but let's go through some of the issues, because here in the second verse we see, having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaj Yudhisthira, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. And Lord Krishna was also there. So Lord Krishna, he is playing the part of not quite an ordinary human being, because he's displaying his super excellent pastimes, but because he's playing the part, he's also joining in the ceremonies of offering a pot of water in the Ganges for each of the departed souls by each of the family members. So Krishna, because he is playing the part of the family member of the Kurus and the Pandavas, he is described here in Srila Prabhupada's purport as being equally sympathetic toward all of them. And so he begins to pacify them accordingly. And how does he pacify them? Here in text 4, he says, citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, of which there were plenty at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Lord Sri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected. And how did he do that? He did that by giving them transcendental knowledge, because this is the process by which we become relieved from our material misidentification. Without transcendental knowledge, we are stuck in the material goings on, and on and on and on. There's no end to it, because that is Krishna's illusory energy, which is keeping us bound up here in the material world. We're bound up by the avidya, by ignorance of what is what. So here we see this point that the clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhisthira, who had no enemy. This is the nature of the Lord's devotees. They don't have enemies, but still people become their enemies. Even the Pandavas, they're very righteous souls. Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was preaching very strongly, and he had enemies. Actually, you may know, Prabhupada explained that the local Brahmins in Navadvip, they wanted to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and they paid a 10,000 rupee bribe, which in those days was a heck of a lot more than it is now, to the police to get them to turn a blind eye. But they refused to accept the bribe because they warned Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that actually everyone knows we take bribes, but in this case, because we don't want to be implicated in the killing of a sadhu, so please take very good care. So this was the local Brahmins who were trying to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati because his preaching was so strong, presenting the truthful message of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and preaching that actually everyone should take shelter of Krishna, and we should stop this impersonalistic idea that ultimately the personality of Godhead doesn't exist. There's only impersonal existence. And this rascal preaching, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and his followers, Srila Prabhupada, and all the followers of Srila Prabhupada, it is our duty to fight with this impersonalistic idea and teach them actually the facts that Krishna is the Supreme Person, the original person. Actually, that is the duty of the Vaishnavas, following in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to practice and preach Krishna consciousness and to fight with the Mayavadi rascals who are trying to present that God has no form, he has no personality, and that we're all God, because the soul and the super soul are declared in the Shastras to be in the same body, and so the impersonalists equate the two. They refuse to understand because they have no knowledge of the personality of Godhead. They misidentify themselves with Krishna and consider themselves as being the Supreme Person. But the preaching of the Lord's devotees is to help people come out of their ignorance and illusion and come to understand what is our eternal, loving, individual relationship with the Supreme Person, and revive that relationship and live that relationship. So this is the business of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, to establish very firmly the situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his relationship to each and every single one of us. And so the prayers of Queen Kunti actually illuminate this very wonderfully. So here we see that by the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhana were killed by him, the Lord. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi. So here we also see Prabhupada explaining how the Brahmins, the cows, women, children, and old men are meant to be protected in any civilized society, but we're unfortunately living in a very uncivilized society. And we have a job to do to reintroduce consciousness of Krishna and understand how these protected groups are very important to have a peaceful, happy, progressive society that can actually understand the value of life. So many points are made here by Srila Prabhupada, and I'm just touching on these very briefly. But this purport here is very important because Prabhupada explains why each of these groups are important. The protection of the Brahmins maintains the institution of Varna and Ashram, which is the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. Without that Brahminical education in the society, then how will people understand what is actually how to attain spiritual life? People have no knowledge of the soul, they have no knowledge of Brahman, and they have no knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, which the most elevated Brahmins become actually Vaishnavas, where they understand our eternal relationship with the Supreme Brahman, not just that we are Brahman. And the protection of cows, Prabhupada explains, maintains the most miraculous form of food, i.e. milk, for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain for understanding higher aims of life. So sorry about that, vegans, but you've actually missed the point, that actually milk is the miracle food and cows are meant to be protected, and milk products are meant for the welfare of the whole human society, so that people can actually begin to understand by cultivating the finer tissues of the brain, so that the principles of spiritual life can be more readily understood. And Prabhupada explains the protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get a good generation for peace, tranquility, and progressive life. Because if the ladies are unchaste, then there will be unwanted population. This is declared in Bhagavad-Gita. Arjuna makes this point to Krishna. And he explains that when that happens, the whole society goes to hell. Hey, look around. And the protection of children gives the human form of life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from material bondage. Such protection of children begins from the very day of begetting a child by the purificatory process of Garbhadan Samskara, the beginning of pure life. So if the generation is developed nicely, then people can learn from the good example of actually good generations. And finally, the protection of old men gives them a chance to prepare themselves for a better life after death, not simply staying in a care home or a club, drinking and taking tea and playing cards and gambling and frittering their last valuable days until finally old age and senility and death come upon, and then who knows their next destination. So all these protected groups, Prabhupada goes into great length to help us understand what is the real culture of human life. So here, then in text 6, Lord Sri Krishna caused 3 well-performed Asvamedha yajnas, horse sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhisthira, and thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices. So Maharaj Yudhisthira, he was nowhere near as opulent as Indra, who had performed over 100 such sacrifices, but he just performed 3 sacrifices. And the result was his fame and glories, because he is the Lord's great devotee, became equal to that of Indra. So such is the nature, and Prabhupada gives this nice example here in the purport. The Lord is equal to everyone, but a devotee of the Lord is more glorified because he's always in touch with the all-great. And then he explains the sun rays are equally distributed. So Krishna is not partial, and that comes up later. But still there are some places which are always dark. This is not due to the sun, but due to the receptive power. So similarly, those who are 100% devotees of the Lord get full-fledged mercy of the Lord, which is always equally distributed everywhere. So our business in this Krishna consciousness movement is to purify ourselves and increase our receptive power to accept Krishna's mercy and make progress. So Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmins headed by Srila Vyasadeva, and the Lord also reciprocated greetings. So there were proper etiquette for greeting equals, superiors, and juniors, and showing proper respect and etiquette. And this is all nicely described. And the Lord, he would follow these examples just to set the example for others. As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwarka, he saw Uttara hurrying toward him in great fear. Uttara Uvacha, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin, Deva Deva Jagatpate, Nanyam Tvad Abhayam Pasye, Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, O Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. O my Lord, you are all-powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally if you so desire, but please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. So Uttara is requesting because she can feel that the Brahmastra is coming for her unborn child. And so Krishna, he is very much partial to his devotees, and this child is the grandchild of Arjuna and the last descendant of the Pandu dynasty. And as such, Lord Krishna, he desires that this shall be developed. He's engineered the whole battlefield of Kurukshetra so that the Pandavas can be re-established and Maharaj Yudhisthira can be properly established and real virtue can be established in the kingdom all over the world. Because don't forget, Yudhisthira Maharaj, he's installed as the emperor, the king of all the kings of the whole world. So Sutta Goswami said, having patiently heard her words, Lord Sri Krishna, who is always very affectionate to his devotees, could at once understand that Ashvatthama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family. So, foremost among the great thinkers, Munis, Shonaka, Sutta Goswami is addressing Shunaka Rishi. Seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. So there's some discussion about how the Brahmastras are finer than the nuclear weapons. They can be released, they can be withdrawn, and they can be targeting an individual child like Maharaj Parikshit in the womb of his mother, or they can destroy a planet. They are invincible weapons. But here we see that the Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. So the Brahmastra is invincible, but it can't do anything against the prowess and almighty power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, Krishna has given his promise that my devotees are never vanquished. Mad bhaktim na pranashyati. And so Krishna, he keeps his promise. And this is a very important point that we should be aware of. The more we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna explains in Bhagavad-Gita, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Each as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. So if we fully take shelter of Krishna, there's no question of being vanquished. I wish we had more time to go through all these things, but I'm aware that we only have 25 minutes left. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. And it's described elsewhere that the Lord, he appeared inside the womb of Uttara in his four-arm form, wielding his club and beating off the Brahmastra so that it couldn't do any harm to Parikshit Maharaj. And in this way, the child, Parikshit, he opened his eyes and he saw the Lord. And he was very amazed seeing this beautiful form of the Lord. And the Lord noticed that he was being observed and he disappeared. But then Parikshit, which his name means the examiner, he was looking always in his life. Is this the person I saw when I was in my mother's womb? Is this person the one I saw? He was always looking for Krishna. So his consciousness was already highly developed even before he took his birth. And this is the very nice point, that if we can produce good offspring by giving them the best chance with Garbhadan Samskara and the other samskaras that are meant for purifying the living being and helping him develop in his life, then we have a good chance for finishing our business in this world. Not just finishing our business, but helping others finish their business. Because after all, many of you are Indian-bodied persons, and you may wonder how it was that you came to be in the UK. But there is a very good reason. Lord Chaitanya has given us the chance to actually help the Westerners. This is, we pray, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Our business is actually helping others understand about Krishna. This is Lord Chaitanya's order, that Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusya Janmajar, Janma Sartaka Karikara Para Upakar, that our business is to make our lives perfect and help make others' lives perfect. That is the business of everyone from the land of India. That is the fact. So now you know. This is why you're here. If you didn't know it already. And now we have to fulfill that prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Prabhupada explains that the Pandavas and the Kauravas are all the Kuru dynasty. And so Parikshit Maharaj, actually Prabhupada says, since the sons and grandsons of Dhritarashtra were all killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, the last son of the dynasty is designated as the son of the Kurus. So Krishna also addresses Arjuna as Kaurava, O beloved child of the Kurus, like that. So then in the text 15, because there's 42 verses, I think, here. O Shonika, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Asvatthama was irresistible and without check or counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna. O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he maintains and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. And I was today eating a pomegranate. And I was reminded, whenever I eat a pomegranate, it reminds me of that incident Shrutikirti mentioned, when Prabhupada called him into his room and he showed him a pomegranate cut in half and it was on his desk. And Prabhupada pointed to it and he said, just see, like this, all the seeds are there. It's just like this material world. All the universes, like these pomegranate seeds, all clustered together. So Krishna is maintaining unlimited billions of universes, all clustered together in this Mahatatma. And he's also withdrawing them back in himself. Actually, Krishna, people talk about recycling and going green, but Krishna is the ultimate recycling potent person, because he's recycling billions of universes all within himself, and then he's producing again fresh ones. So Krishna's energies are completely wonderful. So thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons, and Draupadi, addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. So these prayers are particularly beautiful, and as you probably know, there's a nice book compiled of Prabhupada's lectures on these verses of the prayers of Queen Kunti, and compiled also in conjunction with Prabhupada's translations and purports on this chapter, and they are the most wonderful things. So here, Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you, because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Such beautiful prayers and such beautiful purports. And then this very nice verse, Maya Javanika Chandam Agyad Hokshajam Avyayam Nalaksha se Mudhadrisha Nato Natyataro Yata. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So this was seen that not everybody who could see Krishna could appreciate that actually he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only very few, only his pure devotees. Bhishma Dev could see, the Pandavas could see, Kunti could see, as this is revealed in her prayers. And then Kunti Devi, she goes on to present so many reasons why the Lord appears. She says, you yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. And then in her humbleness, she says, how then can we women know you perfectly? So it's a fact that different types of bodies have different intelligence. The child's body, the woman's body, the Shudra's body, the Kshatriya's body, the Vaishya's body, the Brahmin's body. According to the body one has different levels of intelligence. So Queen Kunti is placing herself with knowledge that actually she's in a woman's body, and therefore she's expressing, as does Devahuti. Later on, she requests her son Kapila Dev that I'm unfortunate, I'm not so intelligent, so please explain this science to me in such a way that I can understand it. And so Prabhupada has given us these purports to try to help all of us understand and come to the level of knowledge so that we can be freed from the pernicious influence of the material energy, which is convincing us that we're actually these temporary bodies. And we have to rise above this. We have to rise above this so that we can understand our real identity, that not only we're Brahman, but what is that Brahman? That Jiva? Jiva Svarupa Hoy, Krishna Nitya Das, that we're the eternal servants of Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he says in this one nice prayer, he says, just believe this and you'll be released from so much suffering. All your suffering. This is the fact. So then she goes on, let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. She's here presenting so many reasons that the Lord utilizes for appearing in this world. And then she says this beautiful verse. This is very instructive also. Namah pankaja nabhaya, namah pankaja maline, namah pankaja netraya, namaste pankajangraya. This actually teaches us how to meditate on the deity. We should start off by meditating at the lotus feet. Kunti Devi, of course, because she's playing the part of Krishna's aunt, she doesn't want to embarrass Krishna by approaching his lotus feet. She's addressing him above the feet, but the navel. So she says, my respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. So the nice process of meditation Prabhupada reveals here is to start off at the lotus feet of the Lord and gradually come up from the ankles and the calves and the knees and the thighs and the hips and the waist and the chest and the shoulders and the arms and the neck and the beautiful smiling face of the Lord, and then gradually again come back down to meditating more on the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the proper process of meditation on the deity. I know it's very popular to see the beautiful smiling face of the Lord, but we should know that the meditation on the Lord should begin at the lotus feet and gradually rise to the face and then gradually again come down to the lotus feet, because so much emphasis is placed on taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So, important points. O Hrishikesh, master of the senses and lord of lords, you've released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. She's again expressing how the Lord is so kind to his devotees, and he wants to protect and look after his devotees and encourage their total dependence on him, because in that way the cemented relationship becomes complete when we're fully dependent on the Lord. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you've saved us from the weapon of Asvatthama. So Kunti Devi is expressing her complete gratefulness to the Lord and appreciating him with choice words, choice prayers. And then she makes this very extraordinary statement. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. And Prabhupada gives a very nice purport to this, which is actually, how many? It's at least three pages long. So how much can we go into? My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. So here we can see that the nature of this world is such that everybody has their own personal idea of what is their self-interest. Just like when you have a nice still reservoir of water, if you throw a handful of pebbles in the water, then all the ripples are colliding with each other. But if you have one big stone and you throw it into that nice clear water, then all the ripples are expanding in perfect harmony. So similarly, actually our business is to have as our focus in life the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the only means by which the living beings can actually live in harmony, in spite of all great attempts at United Nations, which are proved to be an abject failure because they can't stop all these wars from going on, because they don't know what is the real center of life. They still haven't got the clue that actually the real center for pleasure is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And ourselves as eternal servants of the Lord, we're all expansions of the Lord, meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And if we can understand this point and act on this understanding, then our lives become peaceful and happy and fully protected. So social intercourse is such that the time factor creates so many different dissensions between living beings. Just like in the forest, the unseen force of the wind makes the bamboos rub against each other, and there's some friction, and before you know it, there's a beautiful forest fire. And that's the nature of material existence. Everywhere you look, especially nowadays, you see so many forest fires. Just now there's a tsunami going on, there are wars going on, there's famine going on, there's drought, there's flooding going on. This material world, people have got the foolish idea that everything is happening by chance. They have no understanding that nature is acting under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that actually his agents, the demigods, are responsible for all these happenings. Even we're trying to move our hands and legs, there are demigods in charge of all these movements. Krishna himself is expressing he's the fire of digestion. We can't even go to the bathroom without the help of the Supreme Lord, and we're thinking that we'll manage things our way. So there is a lot to learn. And so Kunti Devi is addressing Krishna as being, he says, I consider your lordship to be eternal time, because time is not that we're killing time in this world. Time is killing us. The boot is on the other foot, literally. And we need to understand what is what. Kunti Devi continues, O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. And people misunderstand this. Then she says, some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. So Krishna, just like the Malaya hills become very famous because of the sandalwood that grows there, so the Lord, he appears in different families like the Yadu dynasty, and they inevitably become very famous. Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. So Krishna, he's very good at the killing business. Everyone is being killed by time. And Krishna comes, and a lot of the time he's actually killing so many demons because he's expressed in Bhagavad-Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. Krishna, he does a lot of killing. And he does this because this is beneficial, not only for the people who are pious, who are remaining, but it's beneficial even for the people who are killed, because just like Lord Nrsingadev, he very nicely ripped apart Hiranyakashipu and garlanded himself with his entrails and plucked out his heart, and became very furious that someone was attacking his devotee. But actually he is giving them the benediction, as Prahlad Maharaj prayed, that please let my father be liberated. So Lord Nrsingadeva informed him, he assured him, he said, yes, because you're my pure devotee, you're so dear to me, that 100 generations in the past and in the future will all be liberated. And what is that liberation? Do you know? What is that liberation? Not that they'll merge into the existence of the Lord, but because they're born, or family, or the devotee has taken birth in their family, then those family members in the past and in the future will get the same liberation, that real freedom to be a devotee of the Lord. That is real liberation, liberation from our ignorance, free to engage in our eternal loving relationship with Krishna. So many other points. I'm aware that we're running out of time. And I'd like to ask, but see this one, text 36. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. Who'd like to take birth again in the material world and die again and get old and diseased? Who is so unfortunate? And then she expresses her heart in this way. Oh, my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today, though we're completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us? So, as the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and Yadus, will end at once. And then she expresses, O Gadadha, Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. So she's appreciating, even we can appreciate that Krishna, what is that? We see a nice flower. What is that? That is Krishna's smile. Krishna is showing himself in so many wonderful ways in this world. And then she prays, Ata Vishvesha Vishvatman Vishvamurte Svakeshu me Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. She's making this very clear, especially also in the next verse. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So these are certainly very beautiful and instructive prayers that Queen Kunti is offering to the Lord. And then Sutta Goswami said, the Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smiled. That smile was as enchanting as his mystic power. So anyway, Krishna, he then performed various pastimes, including enlightening Yudhisthira Maharaj, because Yudhisthira, he couldn't be pacified, even by the words of Krishna, as it appears that he could only be pacified by someone who was demonstrably a greater influence on him even than Krishna. And that was Krishna's great Mahajan devotee, Bhishmadev. He was the only one who was able to convince Yudhisthira to carry on with his duties, who was feeling mortified that all these creatures have been killed on my account. And so he was unwilling to accept his duties to take up the throne. But Bhishmadev got the credit because the Lord in his heart wouldn't allow him to be convinced even by the Lord's own words. But his devotee, Bhishmadev, he was able to convince him. That's the very special concession and glory given to the Lord's devotee, that he likes the devotee to be even more glorious than himself. Hare Krishna. So, these prayers of Queen Kunti are very important, and Yudhisthira Maharaj is at the end, he is lamenting his situation, and in this way the story continues, and we see gradually the glories of the Lord and the Lord's devotees gradually unfold for our illumination and our purification and our rectification. Hare Krishna. So are there any questions or any comments anyone would like to offer, please? Because I know I've kind of come to the end of the chapter, but
That's fine, Prabhu, that's wonderful. Thinking that it's important to get the book Bhagavata, but the devotee Bhakta is also important. So we got your darshan, we've heard from you, so you get two in one. We're hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the Bhagavata. What more can we ask? And you explained very nicely, and thank you so much in your own words. Now we put the layers of the cake, and you then put the icing on top, and you have done that marvelously. So really appreciate that. So please, any questions, please have them ready. I'm just going to kick off with one question, and then please follow through with your questions with Prabhu, and you can unmute and ask. Prabhu, I was quickly going to ask that you mentioned about this forest fires and tsunamis and earthquakes, famines going on. So it's bewildering, because on the one hand, on the individual level, Krishna is protecting the fire of our digestion, the taste in our tongue, and our senses. So many things within us that we take for granted. He's given us oxygen to breathe, or he's given the power to breathe. And whereas you might find people who don't have that facility, but majority do. So he's protecting all these things without even us thinking about them. We take for granted, right? So many things. And on the other hand, you have all these, like I said, forest fires and famine and tsunamis, earthquakes going on. He's the protector. So he's protecting us on one hand. On the other hand, the demigods are causing devastation. How should we understand it?
Well, how can we understand? This is actually described, because in the beginning we see how Lord Krishna is pacifying the aggrieved relatives by citing the stringent laws of the Almighty. And when the laws of the Almighty are transgressed, inevitably material nature reacts. So we shouldn't be surprised. We should learn, just like Prabhupada, he was challenged that how can we understand there's a God with all these troublesome things going on in the world? And Prabhupada's reply was, that is the proof that there is God, because he's punishing you, you rascal. So everyone is getting punished because everyone is rascal. They're eating meat, they're slaughtering the animals, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. They are fully prevalent. And self-interest, what to speak of actually causing starvation, withholding the food, grains that is provided by the Lord, becoming more and more materialistically interested as opposed to developing their real business of the human form of life, which is to understand our eternal relationship, which is why we've been given the chance of the human form of life. So misusing that means that material nature will react in so many ways. And those are the stringent laws of the Almighty. So if we want to argue about it, go take it up with Krishna.
Very good answer. Thank you so much. Yeah, makes perfect sense. I mean, he gives us everything. We are the ones who are, spoiling it for ourselves by transgressing his laws and, not following the instructions properly. Then, obviously we have there's a reaction situation here. So it's really we have to watch our own action, and we do that. Then, we will obviously best to do our karma and not to make any good or bad reactions and just follow Krishna's instructions. So, thank you.
Yes, there is good karma, there is bad karma, but it's all karma. Means there are reactions have to come.
Absolutely.
But there's Krishna karma or akarma, which is work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Like Krishna's explaining in Bhagavad-Gita, yagyartat kamanonyatra loko yom karma bandhana. That work done as a sacrifice to please Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, one's work binds one to the material nature. And the material nature is a hostile environment. But it becomes peaceful when and cooperative. Just like at the time of Yudhisthira Maharaj, under his reign, nature was cooperating very nicely because he was operating everything very nicely with a view and training everyone to act with a view to satisfying the Supreme Lord. Then there is nice cooperation from material nature. Otherwise, if you don't cooperate with your mother, don't be surprised if you get a good slap.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else would like to ask questions? So we're getting beautiful answers from Prabhu. Please take the opportunity to understand anything you're confused on.
Mother Nature.
I think Kiran Prabhu would like to say something.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for a beautiful, succinct summary. Just a little question. And the question is, in a condensed form, what are the key components of Kunti's prayers? I understand some of the issues are to do with how fortunate she is to have his darshan and his presence, and that we have to be qualified to have that mercy of Krishna, and that that we should always be attracted to him to continue to receive his mercy. What are the other essence of her prayers?
Her prayers are actually a beautiful appreciation and proper glorification of Krishna. They're not imaginary, they're not concocted, they're factual observances and understanding of the beautiful nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we can appreciate Krishna and relish Krishna's name, his fame, his form, his qualities, his pastimes, and take pleasure in hearing about these and chanting these and describing them to others or hearing others describing them, as Queen Kunti points out, then actually we become intensely purified and become freed from our misconceptions of life. So the whole process is actually to Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, to hear about Krishna, to glorify Krishna, and to always remember Krishna and never forget him. The whole essence is to become conscious of Krishna and our relationship with Krishna, and to try to act always in such a way as to satisfy Krishna. And naturally, the relationship will develop, it'll become clear, and Krishna is only too pleased to reveal himself to the devotee who becomes fully absorbed in loving devotional service to Krishna. So she's setting the nice example. She's actually in a personal relationship with Krishna. And Krishna is inviting each and every one of us to also enter into a personal relationship. And that is not artificial. That has to be developed. And the only qualification is, as Krishna has pointed out in his Bhagavad-Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. I can be known as I am, Arjuna, standing before you only by undivided devotional service. So her devotional service is laden with love of Krishna. That is the qualification. It's not a formality. It's not a ritual. It's actually a development of our natural, dormant love for Krishna. And by her prayers, she's revealing so many things about Krishna and her beautiful understanding and appreciation of Krishna. And therefore her prayers are very much worthy of being studied and meditated upon, to see how we can actually revive our attitude. Sometimes people want to pray to Krishna for this and that and the other, but actually real prayer for the Lord is to express from the bottom of our heart how much we're appreciating his transcendental glories. And this is what Queen Kunti is actually doing. She's factually enumerating with choice words. So if we want to learn how to pray to Krishna, how to glorify Krishna, then we can take the example and we can take the beautiful prayers of Queen Kunti and other great devotees whose prayers are revealed in the pages of Bhagavatam, and learn from their example how to pray to Krishna, how to please Krishna, how to love Krishna, how to appreciate Krishna. And that will be very valuable prayers, because that way we can learn what is the actual relationship with Krishna. Is that okay, Prabhu?
That is absolutely fantastic. So well condensed and summarized for all our benefits, so that we can continue to serve the divine. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. I can see you, not just a voice.
That's probably made an interesting point within the one of the purports, how there's a tendency when we're in front of the deity to look straight to the face rather than starting with lotus feet, working our way up. Even when we pay obeisances, you look up straight away, look straight to the face. And I mean, even start to understand from the example of Bhagavatam, where Canto 1 and 2 are the lotus feet of the Lord, and you're working your way up. But even so, what's a good way, from your experience, to actually get in the process of actually working, focus on the Lord's lotus feet and then work your way up as it should be done, as opposed to just just getting hypnotized by the Lord's face and then forgetting the actual etiquette?
Yes, well, by practice, actually. Practice makes perfect. So if we practice the proper approach to the Lord, then the Lord will be pleased, because then you can see that actually we're developing our proper approach to him. If you go to a big man who you don't know, you can't just go and slap him on the shoulders and say, "Hi, buddy, let's go for a drink. Let's have a cup of tea together." It doesn't work like that. One has to learn the etiquette of how to approach a person properly and how the relationship can actually be developed. Not that one assumes. That is a very arrogant approach, that I can just approach the Lord just like that. No, we can understand from the prayers of the great devotees and meditate on these that actually our position is extraordinarily insignificant. And we're actually trying to become engaged in devotional service and purified of our materialistic, fruitive attitude, as though we are the enjoyers of the world and that the Lord is meant for our enjoyment. Actually, no, it's the other way around. We are meant for the Lord's enjoyment. And as we cultivate developing that humility of approach, then our devotional service will develop nicely. So we pray, for example, to the feet of the holy name of the Lord. This is the practical thing. We have to learn the etiquette. And if we learn and apply these teachings in our lives, we will make nice gradual progress by practice. So the instructions are there not to just go in one ear and come out the other. They're meant for our learning and for our education, so that we can learn and hear and apply these principles in our lives. This is wanted. And then progress, as Bhaktivedanta Thakur puts it in one of his nice couplets of one of his songs. He says, forget the past that sleeps, and ne'er the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee, and progress you shall call. Saragrahi Vaishnava soul, thou art an angel fair, so onward now to Vrindavan, and spirit's power declare. So we should act in the time that we have and utilize that time very properly, and that will be good for us. Is that all right, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. I was going to add to that. So, like with Queen Kuti's example, she glorified the Lord. She wasn't just like, she understood the process of how to offer prayers. So I think would that be a good way to go about things? So rather than just like in front of the deity, actually start offer some prayers, like offer prayer to lotus feet and so on and so forth. Like, I mean,
it's all very nice.
Yeah.
And we should hear very nicely, because Krishna appreciates, this devotee, he's listening very carefully about me. This is service. And then this devotee, he's hearing about me nicely, and he's explaining to others what he's heard about me. This is also service, appreciation of Krishna. And he's offering heartfelt appreciation of me. This is kirtanam, this is also vandanam, offering prayers, appreciating the glories of the Lord. So kirtanam are describing the glories of the Lord, but vandanam is actually offering prayers to appreciate the qualities and characteristics, pastimes, names, form, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord. These are some of the items of devotional service to Krishna. Krishna becomes pleased by that. And our whole aim is how to develop that loving attitude to always try to please Krishna. And the principle, love me, love my dog. So we should try to please Krishna's representative, the spiritual master, because when he is pleased, Krishna is automatically pleased. And actually, this is the proper approach, because the devotee is at the lotus feet of Krishna, not up at the smiling face. Is that all right, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I think that's something to meditate on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Anyone else, please? Sorry, Prabhu. Savvy Prabhu, Ashok Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. My question was actually what Acharya Prabhu asked. Even I struggle with it, especially during my japa. So I'm actually on Canto 3.2 where Kapila, Lord Kapila is in conversation with Mata Devahuti, and he has been stressing on the same factors, that it's devotional service, really stressing on it. So when we do japa, when the eyes are closed, lotus feet, what am I supposed to imagine? What am I supposed to look at? I mean, if anything, you could, give an ounce of guidance there, that would be really helpful.
Yes. just don't bother trying to imagine anything. Just try to hear the sound vibration of Krishna's name, because that's Krishna's name is Krishna. And if we try sincerely to hear and enunciate that holy name of Krishna very nicely, then actually that is the real process of japa. Other thoughts may come into the mind about Krishna's pastimes, but our business is not to try to imagine anything. Our business in chanting japa is to try to chant Krishna's name very attentively and listen. You know, there's a saying, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and he meant it. So we should try to hear very nicely the sound vibration of Krishna's name, and that will be very good meditation. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Cheers, Prabhu. Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, one final question, anyone? This is your last opportunity. Wonderful. We're learning so much within this time period, learning so much. So if you have a question, please ask now, otherwise we'll end the program.
Can I request that Prabhu joins us again for another summary in the near future? Because certainly beautifully summarized, condensed, and very enlightening and informative. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Be delighted to. I just await the invitation.
We look forward to you, Prabhu, and thank you for giving us your time. I know you had to fit us in, you know, this Grasta life and material life. There's so much going on, so many activities going on, and thank you for, you know, fitting us in. You probably had to rush to do whatever you're doing to get to the program. So really appreciate that you are doing the kirtanam that you mentioned, and you're pleasing Srila Prabhupada and pleasing Shri Krishna. So thank you so much for enlightening us today. And okay, we can end the program here. And let's please unmute and give Prabhuji 3 Haribol, please, everybody.
Haribol,
Haribol, Haribol.
Haribol, Haribol.
Thank you all very much indeed. Can I say one thing? Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Shripada ki jai.
Jai. And by the devotees' grace, I'll be back. Hare Krishna.
Hare Haribol. Jai. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch up again on Friday. Hare Haribol.
Haribol. Haribol.